Hey everybody, I'm here today to show you how to smoke your tail lights with Plasti Dip. And I will be using regular black Plasti Dip for this process. Now the first step is to clean off the tail light and the area surrounding the tail light using a cloth. Now I will be using this dry microfiber cloth for this, but you can pretty much use any cloth that you would like to clean off the area. So I'm going to go ahead and clean off both taillights with this cloth. Now I will only be showing you this tail light for this video, but just for the record, I will be doing the same thing with both tail lights. The next step is to create a frame around the tail light with tape. Now you can pretty much use any tape that you would like to use, but I find that masking tape works the best. So I'm going to create a frame around the tail light with this tape, and I'm going to leave about an inch between the edge of the tail light and the edge of the tape. So I'm going to go ahead and make a frame around the tail light with the tape. Okay, so the next step is to protect the rest of your car from any overspray that the Plasti Dip may create. Now, if you do happen to get overspray on other parts of your car, you can simply rub it off once it has dried. But I want to prevent it as much as I can. So you can either continue taping around the frame with more tape, or you can add some newspaper or any spare paper that you have onto the edge of the frame with some additional tape. Now in my case, I'm just going to be extending the frame using more tape, but you can feel free to either use my method or add on some newspaper to protect the rest of your car from any overspray from the Plasti Dip. Now that everything has been masked off, it is time to actually spray the Plasti Dip onto the tail lights. Now you should try to hold the can of Plasti Dip about 6 to 8 inches away from the tail lights and spray it on in a very uniform motion. Now I am going to be doing 3 light coats because I don't want to get into any trouble with the police, and I still want my brake lights and reverse lights and signal lights to shine through the Plasti Dip. So I will only be doing 3 light coats, but you can do 2, 3, 4, 5, or pretty much however many coats you want to do on your tail lights. And I always give the Plasti Dip about 15 minutes to dry between coats. So I'm going to go ahead right now and use this black can of Plasti Dip to and spray it onto the tail lights. And once again, I'm going to try and keep a distance of about 6 to 8 inches from the spray nozzle to the tail light. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Now that I have finished spraying on the first coat of Plasti Dip, I'm going to give it about 15 minutes to dry. Now that the first coat has had enough time to dry, I'm going to spray on the second coat of the black Plasti Dip. Now, the tail lights have already turned out a little bit darker than I wanted them to be after the first coat, so I'm going to try and go very light on the second and third coat, and I might not even do a third coat depending on how dark the second coat turns out. So this is obviously just this goes without saying, but you can do as many or as few coats as you would like to do. It is completely up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and spray on a nice and light second coat of the Plasti Dip. Alright, so now I am going to give the second coat of Plasti Dip about 15 minutes to dry. Now that the second coat has dried, it is time to do the third and final coat. Now, just a quick tip. When you are spraying the Plasti Dip onto the tail lights and the area, the frame that we created around the tail lights, it is important to spray enough to create a nice, thick, full layer of Plasti Dip around the tail lights within the frame that we created, because having a nice full thick layer of Plasti Dip within that frame surrounding the tail lights will make it much easier to peel off. So I'm going to go ahead and spray the third and final coat. Now I am just going to give this third and final coat about 15 minutes to dry, and then we will start peeling off the excess Plasti Dip. Now that the third coat of Plasti Dip has dried, it is time to peel off the excess Plasti Dip. So what I'm going to do is basically peel off the tape that I used to create the frame around the tail light. And then once I have peeled off the tape, I am going to grip the excess Plasti Dip around the tail light and simply peel it off. And because I have created a nice, thick, solid layer of Plasti Dip around the tail light, it will be very easy to peel off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Alright, so as you can see, I have finished peeling off the excess Plasti Dip, and the tail lights look great. And I'll just give you a better view of both of the tail lights so you can completely see how they look. Now, they did turn out a little bit darker than I had wanted them to, so the good thing about Plasti Dip is that it can be easily peeled off. So if I really don't like them enough, I can simply peel off the Plasti Dip and redo it with, let's say, 2 coats instead of 3. And that is one of the best things about Plasti Dip, is that it can be easily removed. So that's basically it. That is the process for tinting or smoking your tail lights. And just for the record, I have used the regular black Plasti Dip for this process. I did not use Plasti Dip smoke or anything like that. I used the regular can of black Plasti Dip. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.